In the past 10 years, Adam Sandler has descended into predictable and formulaic movie roles that have both critics and fans rolling their eyes. But come on, whenever you hear the name Adam Sandler, there brings back that faint little memory of the good movies he did do in the 90s and early 2000s. But did you also know that Adam Sandler put out comedy albums? And they are shockingly vulgar at that. They are definitely not family friendly. The jokes range from beating the shit out of a cheerleader to a mother wanting her kids to play with themselves in front of her, all the way to an uncle killing members of his family on a boating expedition. Join me, will you? I'd love to tell you more about this often forgotten about aspect of Adam Sandler's career. This is the Overstimulation Station.
Game reviews and self-defacing entertainment interlacing. Just sit back and start to space out overstimulation. Band reviews are playing skits where I'm a chick worth playing attention, grabbing product placement with the point I'm trying to make is the Overstimulation Station. Overstimulation Station. Overstimulation Station. Overstimulation Station. Comedy sketch albums were nothing new in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Performing sketch comedy through radio dated all the way back to the early 1900s with such popular comedians as Fred Allen, Jack Benny, Bob Hope, and Red Skelton. As this art form evolved, comedians started releasing records, cassettes, and CDs to get their material out to a mass audience. After coming to fame off the once funny Saturday Night Live, Adam Sandler started appearing in movies and releasing comedy albums. Sandler's albums have various skits that comprise of situations that usually have some kind of dark comedic twist. There are also more vulgar sketches that are sexual in nature or just plain inappropriate. Those are some of my favorites. Another aspect of these albums are comedic songs that are interspersed throughout. I suppose Sandler fashions himself as somewhat of a songwriter, but the songs are usually the low point on the album, and I mostly skip them. Sandler's first comedy album that he released was 1993's They're All Gonna Laugh at You, and was a reference to a sketch on the CD where a family is around the dinner table with their mother, voiced by Sandler, who only responds to any statement with, "No! They're all gonna laugh at you!"
Hey Mom, I saw this great skirt at the mall today, but it was $34, which isn't that high of a price, but I was nervous to buy it. What do you think?
No!
Really? I really like
They're
it.
all gonna laugh at you!
Oh Mom, who is?
They're all gonna laugh at you!
Mom, you're so paranoid.
No!
Hey, Mom, I gotta get up pretty early tomorrow for Little League tryouts.
No!
Yeah, I have to be at the field at 9 o'clock.
They're all gonna laugh at you!
Do you think you could drop me off there?
They're all gonna laugh at you!
How am I gonna get there?
They're all gonna laugh at you!
I'll walk, I guess.
It was this kind of over-the-top absurdity that really got me interested in Sandler's comedic forays outside of his mostly disappointing movies. Another great sketch on this album is titled I'm So Wasted, where two guys are at a party and one guy is supposedly tripping on acid that Adam Sandler's character sold him. The guy's going on and on about how high he is, man, and how he's tripping out, in which Sandler then bursts his bubble by telling him that the acid was only a piece of paper that he ripped off his notebook. The guy goes through a few other substances that he's high on, each time with Adam Sandler calling him out, saying that the drugs were in all actuality either pencil shavings or non-alcoholic beer, so there's no way he's wasted and he's just faking it. The guy ultimately kills himself with a gun Sandler sold him, but turns out the gun wasn't real either. It was just a cap gun, so he faked his own death too. And it's dark yet hilarious premises like that which are right up my alley. I cannot do this album justice enough. You really need to go out and listen to it. Sandler's next album was the first one I ever had the pleasure of listening to, and it was called What the Hell Happened to Me. One of my bad influences of a friend had burned a copy of this CD back in the day, and I wore this thing out in my CD player. This album was released on February 3rd, 1996, but I didn't end up hearing it until about 2001 or so. Yeah, I'm always late to the party. Some notable tracks on this album are Joining the Cult, where Sandler's character convinces his friend to join a cult and kill his father. The Hypnotist is a sketch in which Sandler goes to a hypnotist to try to kick a smoking habit, but fails to be put under hypnosis because of the hypnotist ripping a fart every time Sandler's about to go under. Do It For Your Mama is a sketch where a mother and her kids are having a nice day out by the pool when the mother starts insisting that all her kids whip out their cock and balls and play dark and inappropriate. Which is exactly my sense of humor. Sadly though, most of the tracks on this album are overshadowed by the main song that Sandler is known for, the Hanukkah song. This is a very annoying G-rated song about a bunch of well-known celebrities who are secretly Jewish. I don't know, it's cute, but it's a little too cheeky and lighthearted for me. This song starts to tiptoe into his family-friendly bullshit side that I am completely not a fan of. If I had a problem with Sandler's songwriting before, then 1997's What's Your Name is an album that I avoid entirely. I can't tell you much about it because I've honestly never listened to it. It's comprised entirely of Adam Sandler's original comedy songs, which suck. But that's just my opinion though. I enjoy Sandler more as a writer and a behind-the-scenes performer. Anytime he picks up a guitar, he reminds me of that little douchebag at parties who writes these quirky little goofy songs that make the girls giggle. Don't believe me? Listen to Red Hooded Sweatshirt and tell me you don't want to punch Adam Sandler in the face after you get done listening to that song.
I love you, sweatshirt. Red hooded sweatshirt. Dip, 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 sweatshirt. Shamalama ding dong.
But at least he has that dark, twisted side to his humor, and he only uses that goofball Mr. Nice Guy shtick to get a paycheck, so I can at least respect the hustle. 1999 saw a return to form with Sandler's next album, Stan and Judy's Kid. I remember seeing advertisements for this album on TV, believe it or not. God, what a prehistoric time I grew up in. This album is full of new sketches I find quite enjoyable, such as all the Cool Guy skits, which there are 5 in total. Basically, the premise of these skits sees... Another entertaining sketch is one called The Peeper, in which Sandler plays a pervert who likes to climb trees and pleasure himself while watching people through their windows. He watches a girl get undressed in her room when the girl notices him outside in a tree masturbating. Her boyfriend comes to kick his ass, which only makes Sandler's character that much more turned on. There are a few other good skits on this album, but it's not quite as funny as his first 2 releases. He even tries to cash in again with a Hanukkah song part 2, which I always skip. The psychotic legend of Uncle Donny is definitely worth a listen though. It's an 11-minute long story that ends with several drunk New Englanders getting mangled to death by their drunk uncle. It's dark and disturbing. I love it. Sandler's final comedy album was released in 2004 and it was titled Shh, Don't Tell, after the song on the album called Secret. Sandler's comedy skits are definitely up to par with his earlier releases, and the songs have even improved to the point of listenability. I actually like the songs on this album. There was a lot more time and effort put into music production for this one. The song Secret is an homage to EDM, or techno music as it was known at the time, and is about an effeminate male who trims his pubic hair and doesn't want anyone to know. That's his big secret. It's so stupid and funny you can't help but to get dumb enjoyment out of it. As I was saying before, the skits in this album are definitely a cut above his previous album. Skits like Gay Robot, Timmy Tiny Hole, Wolfman, and the various Pib segments are all classics in my book. Gay Robot is about a robot who is gay, who also enjoys going over to his neighbor's house and blatantly hitting on his neighbor's friends. The skit ends with Gay Robot blowing his robo-cum all over his friends. There's also a reoccurring character on this album named Pib, who is an old man who is always putting himself in harm's way, and always getting his ass beat. The Foley artists and sound effects on this album really put you in the various worlds that are created by Go Out On. Even though it slightly lacks some of the darker humor of his earlier albums, it's got just the right amount of perversion and toilet humor to make me laugh. Well, that about wraps up the side to Adam Sandler that you probably didn't even know existed. My advice to you is to go on YouTube or Spotify and check out these comedic masterpieces. Most of the albums that I talked about tonight went either gold or platinum. And for a comedy album, that's insane. Adam Sandler's talent is undeniable, and I think that's what makes it hurt that much more when he keeps putting out these shitty movies time after time. Maybe one day we'll get a true return to form and maybe even a new comedy album. But until then, I'm sticking to the classics. Thanks for watching, assholes.